Hello everyone, welcome to Nihonten Productions and to a new reaction video. Today I'm going full Dragon Ball with a new model I've worked on. There's actually two versions of it. This one is a more simple, and the other one is a Super Saiyan version, which I will use for the next video with Devil Artemis. But today we are focusing on MasakoX, and he's in two videos of his. The first one is the video where he's talking about what Toriyama meant to him, and the other one will be his tribute to Toriyama. So since they are really similar, I thought we could watch them both in the same video. Also, for those who don't know who MasakoX is, I doubt it, but you never know. MasakoX is well known to be the voice of Goku in the abridged version of Dragon Ball, but he also does these really in-depth video about what if, like what if a said villain was a good guy, or what if Goku never lost his memory or something like that. So yeah, and yeah, as both a fan of Dragon Ball and the abridged version, I think Masako has a really important place in my heart, and I think it would be fun to hear his take on Toriyama's work and everything. Also, but anyway, let's start the video and we'll see from there. Yeah. Also, just before I start, I wanted to say, to my opinion, Masako's voice, or Masako's Goku's voice, is a good midway between Nozawa and Schimmel, or whatever dub you prefer in English. So he has that kind of like more naive take on Goku, but he can also does the badass moment also. If you watch the average episode, you know what I'm talking about. So anyway, just wanted to give my thought on what I think about Masako's voice acting for the bridge. Anyway, okay. Okay. So let's start this.
I think you don't need me to tell you about the sad news about the passing of Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball, suddenly taken away from us. The man who...
He will be lost. And missed, I mean, not lost. He will be missed. And, yeah. Needless to say that the news was really shocking, and I almost couldn't believe it at first, but yeah, it's really crazy when you think that we lost one of the true pioneer of and the shonen genre, and yeah, really crazy. Anyway,
Taught me that, you know what? In a way, it's okay to let your imagination run wild. Just go with the flow. His methodology of just writing a fantastical story such as Dragon Ball on a chapter by chapter basis gave me the inspiration to write the stories that Have and I have produced on this channel, the life that it has spurred on today. The ideas of what would happen if Raditz turned good, or the idea of Frieza turning good, and I think you can sense a pattern here. But these stories that we have
I
formulated...
mean, it's not like all these videos are like that. A lot of them are like, what if this villain was a good guy? But it's not all of them. There are a few other type of what ifs on this channel. Oh, and by the way, speaking of this channel, the links will be in the description, so don't forget to support and subscribe to him. Also, if you want to watch his other videos, don't hesitate, because they are really cool, and there's a bunch of them. So yeah, cool. Continue.
A mixture of written stories that we have planned, but for the most part, they are improvised. And throughout my journey of becoming a storyteller, I look back to Akira Toriyama and what he means to me in terms of realizing that, hey, your mind is a pretty great thing. Just go along with it. See where it goes. Because this story, Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, for the most part, was just written as Akira Toriyama felt it. How he wished the story to evolve at the end of writing the next chapter. It was that childhood wonderment that I admired. Instead of planning things out weeks or months in advance in intricate detail.
It really was like a, how should I say this? Like a child tale or children tale told by Toriyama in a certain way. Also, Dragon Ball itself at first was kind of a more lighthearted version or retelling of Journey to the West, but with more comedy and more like a bit more martial arts, and yeah, really cool stuff, and more comedy, of course. I already said it. That's my ADHD brain for you. Anyway, let's continue.
As is de rigueur in most narrative fields. Toriyama was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to see how I feel at the end of this chapter and then take it from there. Let my imagination just dictate what happens with Son Goku. Push the boundaries. And realize something that I think is really important, and a real evolution in storytelling and a fusion of storytelling genre. The idea that an action comedy could work. An idea where comedy is at the forefront and true to Toriyama's background, but at the same time is so steeped in martial arts lore that at the flick of a switch, the idea that
he was just getting out of his Doctor Slump stuff, so
and
yeah.
then become a fierce martial artist at the drop of a hat is remarkable. The ability to switch on a dime like that is something I think is amazing. And just the authenticity in the man, that he wasn't one about fame or glitz or glamour or riding off on the coattails. He just wanted to tell a story. As far as he was concerned, after he finished Dr. Slump, he could have retired there and then. As somebody in his late 20s, early 30s, he didn't have to make Dragon Ball, but he liked the challenge. And throughout all of the editorial...
What other dimension this possibility would happen. Really crazy to think about it. A world without Dragon Ball. We probably wouldn't have series like Naruto or One Piece, or really crazy to think about it.
Meddling throughout all of his life, he had a dream, he had passion, he had a goal. He wanted to prove people wrong, that his ideas could work, that he would be able to take the blows, roll with the punches, and just experiment and just enjoy himself, provide himself a story where it's something that has transcended boundaries, countries, and at one
Language
point
and
created
culture.
a diplomatic incident between Mexico and Japan. That's the
Wait,
power
what?
of
Really?
Dragon Ball. In that context, Dragon Ball Super. About the idea about people
Oh,
watching it on big
okay.
screens, tens of thousands of people without permission. But it was a show that was created by one man. One man was able to dictate something like that. That is truly remarkable.
Not just one man. The GOAT, the best, the king.
The idea that this one person was able to improvise and create this magical world, mystical adventure even, and make it last for so long, now coming up to 40 years. Dragon Ball Daima is the magnum opus. It's the culmination in Dragon Ball, where it is, reintroducing us to Kid Goku, not for the sake of doing it because they ran out of ideas, but to re-ingratiate people with people that might not have been familiar with the original Dragon Ball series. Reinvent the classic Dragon Ball story for the modern age with fantastic animation and patience. This has been lovingly crafted, this series, and Toriyama, you get the feeling that he's not been this excited since, well, Resurrection F. It takes a lot to get Toriyama excited. And you felt like in the last few years he was loving the journey about where Dragon Ball Super went. He could recreate things that he had once just tossed aside or wrote in one chapter and then moved on to the next one. He, in a way, looked back at his improvisational skills and wanted to refine them. It was almost just like, that was a really cool time. And he looks back on it with pride, as he should. Dragon Ball is one of those things that, no matter where you are in the world, is treasured, cherished, loved. No matter where you come from, no matter what you do, no matter what you identify as or how you live your life, Dragon Ball is special. It's all things to all people. For me, it's the idea that comedy and action can work together in harmony. It's the idea of not taking yourself too seriously when you don't have to. The idea that you can just have a story where the characters grow up.
Never have to
I
be
never saw
too
that
serious
before,
about
ever.
anything.
It was my proper introduction to anime when I was about
Except
13 years
when
old.
you're...
I'd seen some anime like
Sorry, when you're terminally online on X or slash Twitter or whatever. But yeah, aside from that, it's always important to relax and take things not too seriously.
Samurai Pizza Cats and Sailor Moon, but they were just traditional episodic adventures. Whereas with Dragon Ball, that was something different. That was something
It was an
truly
adventure.
groundbreaking for me. At the age of 13, I saw characters grow up almost in real time. I saw Gohan, when I was relatively young, grow up into becoming a young man. And now, where he is right now, as somebody who's in his late 20s, I can identify to Gohan in a way that I never thought possible back when I was younger. And when you look back at the original stories, when you were introduced to them as a child or a teenager, as a, well, I'm coming up to a middle-aged man, and now with a child myself, you just feel like there's so many new things that you can just discover. Whether or not Toriyama intended it to be so, that remains to be seen. But interpretations are so powerful. There's so much meaning that you can go back and watch Dragon Ball Z with a different pair of eyes. It never gets old. That excitement. I remember showing Dragon Ball Z to my nephews, and they were hooked. They enjoyed it in their own special way, and just getting to watch them discover the world of Akira Toriyama and what it could mean for them is something that I cherish a lot. And now
We all do.
And now we're getting to see some more of the obscure stuff that Toriyama produced, get the limelight that it deserves. For example, Sandland. I'm pleased that that has some sort
Yeah,
of...
it looks really cool. I saw some pictures.
It's got a video game coming out. Sandland, for the longest time, was just this little thing that Toriyama created, 14 chapters long, not very long. But when you go back to look at it, you can tell that this was something Toriyama was truly proud of. And now it's getting the attention that it deserves. That's remarkable.
I just thought about something. Do you guys remember the game, the Xbox game Blue Dragon? That was also made by Toriyama at the time. It was relatively like not the best RPG, but it was fun enough, I think, with interesting ideas and stuff like that. Yeah, really cool. I remember the game for some reason. Maybe it's just the discussion about Sandland, but yeah, I was just thought about it.
And now, hopefully, more of his stuff, more of his content can be seen across the planet. So not just Dragon Ball, but people can realize how extremely talented Akira Toriyama is. Not just with creating Super Saiyans and power levels and martial arts comedy or subversive content.
I mean, it began like that. It's not
things that at the same time still feel like a Toriyama production.
It didn't start like that.
You're never alone with a Toriyama story. It's comforting. It's escapism. It's something that you can just forget about the world and just get yourself immersed in. Even now, you can just go back and watch Dragon Ball, go watch Dragon Ball Z, or even read the manga and get yourself lost in that adventure, that tiniest little reference, just something, a blink and you'll miss it in popular culture, just a little thing, a pose, a word, a phrase, a look, or something like that. Just a little reference just shows you in mainstream media there are people out there that grew up with Dragon Ball, even if it's something so discreet that the most hardcore of fan would see it, but it might pass people by, or it might trigger something that they go, I've seen that somewhere before. And you look back to Dragon Ball. It's just so iconic. It has seeped into popular culture in a way that it's different. It's more subtle. Yet Toriyama wasn't a subtle person, and yet was. He didn't seek fame or glory or attention. He just wanted to tell a story and get on with his life, with his family, and just cherish that moment. I mean, the Ginyu Force. I mean, come on. The Ginyu Force was there as a little nod to his children. They loved superheroes. They loved Super Sentai, and he was like, I'm going to create my own for my children. And you can tell the familial side of it. And with all of these new photos being released of him spending time
They do feel like a family almost.
It's so wonderful that, sure, he may have been an aloof person. He shied himself away from publicity. He had people working for him and doing stuff on his behalf. But in the background, this was a man who didn't want to go out to parties, wine and dine with Japan's finest. He just wanted to be in his own space where he was comfortable. He could create whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted, and he was with his family. He didn't shy away. In a way, you can feel like he's trying to teach Gohan a lesson in the latest series that, hey, be there for your kids. They grow up, they leave, but if you just spend that important time with them when they're younger, and just be aware about what they're doing, it's just that kind of attention. That's what I get from Toriyama, and that's why it's a sad day across the world, but in a way it needn't be. Dragon Ball will live on. And that's good.
It sure will.
And I hope you're doing okay up there, because this is heavy news. This was something that we didn't expect. Not right now, or not even in
Nobody did.
several decades or something. But
Yeah.
it's happened, and
He was relatively young
we wish it
still.
hadn't happened.
Was in his 60s, right?
Akira Toriyama, wherever you are, just relax. You can get your rest now.
Okay, yeah. Really interesting, really emotional take, and yeah, I totally agree with all that he said, and he will leave his mark, that's for sure, and nobody will forget his work. And yeah, there'll always be new Dragon Ball fans coming from whatever media they consume, either it's the manga or the anime or average or whatever. They all started somewhere and became fans of it, and by extension, fans of Toriyama, and probably started watching other stuff from him, and okay, that's it for the first video. So let's go to the second one, which is the tribute to Akira Toriyama. Let's go.
It's a strange world we live in. Now we're going to have to get used to talking about Toriyama in the past tense. It will take some getting used to. It's funny in a way, because sometime before his passing, we started to get more into how Toyotaro views his mentor and dispelling some of the myths regarding the man. Most notably, his laziness, which might have been just a way of poking fun at himself, not taking himself too seriously, while still being humble about the real reason. But despite that, despite his light-hearted attitude, he was very relentless when it came to his creations. In an interview with Chunichi Shimbun, Toriyama's longtime former assistant, Takashi Matsuyama, states this about our beloved author. Toriyama-san never acted high and mighty, but he wouldn't give an inch. He would go all in against his tough editors when it came to his creations. He would face his desk with pride on full display. Matsuyama respected his professionalism and was inspired by it. Starting when I was a kid, I would draw pictures of all the things I wanted, like pets. Translation credit, by the way, to Seiya Jedi. And this is what we're going to be talking about today, about the co-workers and other authors remembering Akira Toriyama. You have most likely seen some of those examples already throughout the internet since Toriyama's passing, but we thought it would be nice to remind you of some of the key quotes and even give a little bit of a running commentary regarding some of these statements. It is worth noting that the aforementioned Takashi was Toriyama's assistant for 12 years, starting way back in 1983, since around the chapter 155 mark.
That's a long career.
And worked with him all the way up to 1995, with his final outing being chapter 516 of Dragon Ball, which was the final battle against Kid Buu. The two men were very good friends, with Toriyama even being a witness to the guy's wedding. Through his farewell speech to the man via Artfront World, he also mentioned cars, motorbikes, movies, model kits. We had lots of hobbies in common. So I remember we had a lot of fun together, even outside of work. At any rate, his art was so good that I respected him enough to receive a shock every time he drew something new. So getting to witness him in action from right by his side was a priceless experience. I sometimes wonder if Toriyama-san was really able to enjoy life, owing to his big break. I'd even promised just this March that I'd try to do more fun things together with him, only for it to end in an abrupt farewell. This only further solidifies the man who called himself lazy as perhaps one of the most hard-working artists of the industry, by words of many people who remembered him. But he is but one of many people who went on to reminisce on Toriyama.
That proves that it was really sudden
The
and
creator of the Dragon Quest series,
really
honors the
unexpected.
authors with these words. Toriyama-san was an acquaintance of mine from when I was a writer for Shonen Jump, and at the behest of his editor Torishima-san, I decided to ask him to do the art for Dragon Quest when I started work on that game. More than 37 years later, he's drawn so many charming designs for characters and monsters that I could hardly count them all. The history of Dragon Quest is of a piece with Toriyama-san's characters' designs. Toriyama-san, along with the late Sugiyama sensei, was a long-time partner in making Dragon Quest. Hironobu Sakaguchi, the creator...
Speaking of Dragon Quest, I bought the new what's this called? Dragon Quest Monsters. I found myself losing a lot of time just trying to unlock all of the different monsters and combining them, fusioning them, and needless to say that I really love Toriyama's designs, and especially for monsters, they're really interesting and really cool, and
creator of Final Fantasy, is another big video game name talking about the master. I think Toriyama-san was the one that taught me what true work was and what being a true professional was. I truly respected him from the bottom of my heart. With the Dragon Quest slime being such a cult classic design, it's worth remembering that Toriyama had touched pop culture beyond manga or anime. As he himself recently admitted, he wasn't even that really interested in animation in the first place. In December, he was selected to receive a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Tokyo Anime Award Festival for 2024. Tragically, he passed before the event took place, but luckily, he left behind his thoughts regarding said award. This has been shared following his unfortunate passing. To give my honest thoughts about receiving this award, I had never had an especially great interest in animation, and even when my own work was animated, with apologies to the people of the staff, I didn't watch it that much out of embarrassment. About 10 years ago, I was unexpectedly asked to make revisions to an animated Dragon Ball film, and I suppose it was after doing some simple designs for characters and background that I found to my surprise that this work might actually be pretty fun and worthwhile. Being able to leave the hard parts to the staff, of course, laughs. For me, of all people, to be receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Tokyo Anime Award Festival is frankly embarrassing. Thank you so much. Well, that's Toriyama for you, putting himself at the forefront of the joke. Also, the actors working on the Dragon Ball anime shared their feelings, starting with Masako Nozawa, whom Toriyama himself handpicked for the role. Still, when I remember that every time we met, he would always say to me, "I'm leaving Goku in your hands, okay?" I feel that I could be by Goku's side until the end of my days. Toshio Furukawa, the voice of Piccolo, expressed his worries over her well-being after the news breaking, stating, "Dragon Ball is Mako-san's life work, to the point that Goku is practically a part of her, even more than Piccolo is a part of me." Mami Koyama, the voice of Aurelian Launch, also reminisced about her experiences with the author. "I've known Toriyama-sensei ever since the days of Dr. Slump, Arale-chan. He would never show his face on the mass media, but he would always make sure to appear as a guest on my radio shows and my live concerts to give me his support. He was a second Senbei Norimaki to me. His grand achievement of giving this world love, dreams, and strength is so great that I would say it's outright unparalleled." The other mangakas
the
also
best
speak
father
about
you can
remembering
get.
Toriyama, with the likes of Masashi Kishimoto, the creator of Naruto, by the way, remembering his first meeting with the sensei. Thinking this, I set my sights on becoming a cartoonist, and as I followed in sensei's footsteps, that sense of loss disappeared as well. That's because making comics was fun. Chasing after sensei allowed me to find a new source of enjoyment. Sensei was always my guiding light, the man I admired. He might find it a nuisance, but I'm thankful whether he'd appreciate it or not. To me, he was the god of my salvation, and a god of manga. The first time I met him, I was so nervous that I couldn't say anything. But as we met time after time,
Kishimoto
as
based?
finalists for the Tezuka Award, I got to be able to talk to him.
I'll never forget the slightly bashful but not actually displeased smile he gave as both Oda-san and I, the Dragon Ball children, reverted to a couple of kids seemingly competing over how much we could gush about our enjoyment of the series. Eiichiro Oda of the One Piece fame, who was mentioned by Kishimoto, also decided to share his thoughts about Toriyama. I idolized him from childhood, and I still remember the day he first called me by my name. I fondly recall positively jumping for joy with Kishimoto-san on the way home the day he first used the words friends to describe us. I also remember the last conversation we ever had. He was one of those who was passed the baton in an era where it was thought that you'd rot your brain if you read comics, and created an era where children and adults alike could enjoy reading them. So this is what you can do with comics, so you can get into that world. That's the dream he gave us. It was like watching a hero bravely charging ahead. Masako Katsura, known for such mangas like Shadow Lady, Video Girl Eye, or Gia, which we mentioned previously by the way on the channel and actually takes place in the Dragon Ball universe, was personally a pretty close friend of Toriyama, so his memories feel deeply personal. Even looking back, it's no exaggeration. When I visited him at home or had him come stay over at my place, or when we went out together for fun, I have nothing but good memories. And every time we talked on the phone, I got tired from all of the laughter. He was so much fun, so dirty-minded, so adorable, so sharp-tongued, and so humble. In my principal occupation of drawing comics, we did some work together, and that was fun too. But we spent 99% of our relationship not even talking about comics. As a cartoonist, the things we were looking at, and our levels as authors, were so different that I never paid attention to his greatness. I did know about it, of course, but when I came into contact with him, I never felt that in the slightest. It's his personality. That's why even now, I can only think of him as a friend, rather than as a great cartoonist. And last but not least, Toyotaro, the student of Toriyama, delivered a very short but a pretty gut-wrenching response via Twitter. I drew manga because I wanted to be praised by Toriyama-sensei. It was everything to me. Now you might realize something with this collage of quotes and memories, that our choice of them omits mentions of passing and death. This is a very deliberate move from our side. We are all sad to lose Toriyama, I'm sure we are. But instead of just mourning Toriyama, we just wish to celebrate his life. Thanks to these
I was gonna say,
so expertly
better celebrate
together
his life
on
than
Zenshu, we want
mourning
to
his death.
keep those memories alive. So Toriyama the man, not just Toriyama the author and legend, would be closer to the fandom. There was some grand mourning from President Macron or the government of El Salvador, and while they are most definitely earned by the man, we thought it would feel better, more personal, to focus on those real emotions of the talented people close to him. It's a weird time for all of us. A few weeks ago, we were all excited about Daima and its 40th anniversary, about the manga getting better, and hopeful for the franchise's future.
And Dragon Ball Sparking Zero.
It's really hard to find words that are profound enough to even talk about Toriyama and the influence that he had over pop culture in general, not just in anime. Like, seriously folks, words do fail us. So, not to get into pathos that Toriyama would surely hate, by the way, we decided to use the words of those who knew him best. It's easy to say that Toriyama would like us, the fans, just to take life easy, not worry too much. But, you know, death is something that everyone processes differently. Some feel it more than others, even if it's a celebratory figure that they have never met. So, instead of ending on a downer, we wish to take out another excerpt from that little speech regarding the Lifetime Achievement Award. Perhaps one of the last messages that Toriyama aimed at us. Apparently, Dragon Ball Daima, which will unfold starting in 2024, was originally supposed to be made as an anime original series without my input. But as I gave advice here and there, I ended up getting majorly involved. This time, I've created not only the story, but the world, the characters, the mechs, all sorts of things. It will be a smorgasbord of different things, and not just intense action. So I'll be pleased if you can enjoy watching it. Finally, thank you so much to all you fans who've supported me up until now.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that was the end of the video. Okay. So, yeah. I think I already said much of what I think about the whole thing. yeah, I also discovered Dragon Ball in my teenage years. Not my first manga or anime, but that will be Akira, actually. But yeah, one of the first that I got attached to a point where I tried to learn the draw to draw like him, and yeah, that's where I started to design characters and draw anime styles and stuff like that. So yeah. Like I said earlier, it's better to celebrate what he did during his life than like being sad about him passing away. Because at the end of the day, it will be more remembered for what he did in his life, and that's what's important. And yeah, okay. Anyway, it was really fun. Really love to hear all those little comments from his friends and his, the people that was inspired by him and stuff like that. Really, really cool to hear that or read anyway. And yeah. Thank you, Toriyama, for your work. Thank you also, Masako, for this cool videos that I watched today. This might not be the end of my venture into Masako's content. Maybe there will be more in the future. Who knows? But yeah. Anyway, if you made it this far into the video, thank you for watching. Leave a like and a comment. Tell me what was your best memory of Toriyama's work. How did you discover this Dragon Ball or whatever? And yeah, subscribe to the channel for more content, and stay tuned on the channel. There will be more content this week. I still have one more video this week for Devil Optimist that I will do tomorrow. But yeah, for today it's this one. Very little. It will probably be little editing on this video, unlike the more recent videos where I am editing and inserting jokes and stuff like that. But this will be more a simple video for today. But yeah. Anyway. Okay. So I'll see you in the next video. Until then, have a good day. Take care of yourselves. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.